You're watching South Asia Newsline and here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Thursday, the 12th of June. Air India plane with over 240 people crashes in India's Ahmedabad. Rights group alleges custodial killings and forced disappearances in Balochistan. And Bangladesh wanted good ties with India, but something always went wrong, says Yunus. And now for all the details. An Air India passenger plane bound for London with more than 240 people on board crashed shortly after taking off in Ahmedabad city on Thursday afternoon. Here is what we know so far.
In a tragic incident, an Air India plane with at least 242 people on board crashed near the airport in India's western city of Ahmedabad on Thursday. The plane was headed to London's Gatwick Airport in the UK, Air India said, while police officers said it crashed in a civilian area near the airport. Reports suggested the crash occurred when the aircraft was taking off. Among the passengers, 169 were Indian nationals, 53 were Britons, 7 Portuguese and 1 Canadian, Air India confirmed. More than 100 bodies had been reportedly brought to the civil hospital, Reuters news agency reported. Officials said the death toll was likely to be very high as the plane reportedly crashed on top of dining area of a medical college hostel.
यहाँ पे जिस बिल्डिंग के ऊपर गिरी है वो डॉक्टर्स का हॉस्टल है। इंसिडेंट बनने के विदिन 2-3 मिनट्स में पुलिस, बाकी सभी बॉडियाँ, सिविल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, कॉर्पोरेशन वगैरह सभी लोग आ गए थे। फायर फाइटर वगैरह स्थल पे हाजिर है। लोगों को बचाने की और रेस्क्यू करने की कार्रवाई जारी है। ऑलमोस्ट 70 से 80% एरिया हमने क्लीन कर लिया, बाकी आने समय में हम लोग क्लियर कर लेंगे।
हमारी ट्रेन जा रही थी
1 बजे जा रही थी।
1:10 की फ्लाइट थी और जा रही थी लंदन। लंदन जाने से पहले ही क्रैश हो गया प्लेन।
India's PM Narendra Modi called the tragic incident as heartbreaking beyond words, while Britain's PM Keir Starmer called the emerging scenes as devastating as authorities work to provide support to those affected. The last fatal plane crash in India was in 2020 and involved Air India Express, the airline's low-cost arm, killing at least 21 people. Indian conglomerate Tata Group, which owns Air India, said that an emergency centre had been activated and a support team set up for families seeking information regarding the incident in Ahmedabad.
And in a major diplomatic signal, former Canadian Health Minister Ujjal Dosanjh has called PM Modi's G7 visit a key opportunity to reset ties between India and Canada. He stressed that despite differences over the Khalistan issue, cooperation on trade and global challenges must continue.
As India cements its place as the world's 4th largest economy, the global balance of power is shifting, and Canada must take note, Ujjal Dosanjh, the former Canadian Health Minister, has said, calling PM Modi's upcoming G7 visit a key chance for strategic engagement despite tensions over Khalistan issue. Dosanjh criticised Canada's historical inaction on extremism and stressed the need for cooperation on extraditions, trade and global challenges, calling out extremist violence. While tensions remain, especially around the killing of Khalistani terrorist Hardeep Singh Nijjar, Dosanjh believes these should not prevent broader cooperation.
So in a sense, we've already been damaged hugely by these elements, and they continue to do damage to Canada's image in the world. Canada's political parties have allowed these elements to seep into them. And in fact, the former Prime Minister Harper spoke some days ago saying, just like we would not entertain anyone that wants to separate Quebec from Canada within the parties that want to govern Canada as a country, similarly, we shouldn't be allowing elements into our political parties that want to dismember friendly countries. He said that some days ago, and I've felt that all along, and I think that Mr. Carney may secretly believe in the same thing, although he hasn't said so.
Despite differences, Dosanjh said he believes democracies like India and Canada must engage constructively.
countries always have issues they're not happy about with each other, but they still are able to work on multiple tracks at the same time. So you can work with the legal issues surrounding Niger on one track, while on the several other tracks, trade, people-to-people relations, other international issues, the two countries can work happily together, and I hope they do.
And serious human rights concerns have once again emerged from Balochistan with fresh allegations of custodial killings and enforced disappearances. Baloch rights group PANK has urged global action over this issue. A report.
PANK, the Baloch National Movement's Human Rights Department, has blamed the Pakistani security forces for alleged disappearances of numerous locals in Balochistan and transporting them to the Jerk military base after a raid in Rajasthan region. In a post on Platform X, PANK shared that while most of the detainees were later released, Nawab, a Rajasthan native, remained in custody and his body was found with serious evidence of torture. In another post on X, PANK shared that at least 9 Baloch individuals were forcibly disappeared, most of them from their homes in Dasht. The ongoing enforced disappearances remain a significant human rights issue in Balochistan. Activists say Baloch people have been targets of so-called military operations, ethnic stereotyping and abductions by the Pakistani state, while it continues to exploit their natural resources. Activists allege that Pakistan repeatedly uses abductions and torturing as tactics to instill fear and exert control over the Baloch people, who have been demanding independence from its occupation. Various international organizations have consistently called on Pakistan to investigate such incidents and take measures to curb the practice.
And Bangladesh Chief Adviser Muhammad Yunus, in an interaction with the Chatham House think tank in London on Wednesday, said his interim government sought good relations with India, but something always went wrong. His remarks came in reference to the controversial extradition of former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, who had fled to India amid mass protests last year. Yunus, who assumed office after the student-led uprising that ousted Hasina in August 2024, said public anger had shifted towards India due to its perceived role in sheltering her. All the anger against Hasina has now transferred to India because she fled to the country, Yunus said in response to an audience member questioning India's unclear role in the transition of power. India, on its part, has maintained official neutrality regarding internal political developments in Bangladesh, but raised concerns over attacks on minorities, especially Hindus, in the country. Yunus, a former diplomat, was selected by a council of protest leaders, including prominent student leader Nahid Islam, to lead the interim administration. However, his government has faced criticism from political parties over delays in announcing dates for fresh elections. Moving on. Opposition protests have prolonged the deadlock in the lower house of Nepal's federal parliament for 15 days following opposition's obstruction since May 27 over the visit visa controversy. Opposition parties are demanding the resignation of Home Minister Ramesh Lekhak and the formation of the lack of another commission to investigate the alleged scam. The anti-graft agency also unearthed a vast network operating the scam with the immigration officials at the Trivandrum International Airport. Opposition parties have raised questions over involvement of Joint Secretary Teeth Raj Bhattarai, the Immigration Office Chief, and his subsequent removal from his duties and transfer.
सदस्यहरू सदन 2 हप्तादेखि अवरुद्ध छ। सदन देशका समस्याहरू छलफल गर्ने सर्वोच्च निकाय हो भन्ने कुरा हामीले छलफल गर्नको लागि वातावरण बनाउनु पर्छ र त्यो वातावरण बनाउनको लागि बोलिरहनु भएको माननीय सदस्यहरू आसन ग्रहण गरौं। म दलीय आधारबाट फेरि पनि माननीय सदस्यहरूलाई समय दिन्छु।
As per the lawmakers, travelers in Nepal heading to Europe have reportedly paid up to 3 lakh Nepali rupees to bypass clearance at the TIA. Home Minister Lekhak has been under scrutiny over suspicious of his department's active involvement in this scam. Lekhak has, however, denied the accusations. A huge flock of flamingos have created a spectacular display at the Sambhar Lake, the largest saline lake in India's desert state of Rajasthan. The hue of the pink plums in enhancing the beauty of the lake, where massive flocks of greater and lesser flamingos can be seen hovering over the water body. Lesser flamingos mostly eat spirulina, blue-green algae, filtering it through their beaks, which limits them to alkaline water bodies. They are fussy about what they breed, with just 3 sites in India alongside the remaining 3 in Africa. Lesser flamingos are currently considered near threatened rather than endangered by the International Union for Conservation of Nature. There are just 2 to 3 million left, 4/5 of them spread across Africa, the rest in a smaller area of South Asia.
सांभर में सलाइन लेक होने की वजह से ये उसमें कुछ क्रस्टेशियंस हैं, कुछ डायटम्स हैं और स्पेशली लेसर फ्लेमिंगो जो इस वक्त ज़्यादा दिख रहे हैं, जो कि एंडेमिक स्पीशीज़ है, उसे खाते हैं। और वो स्पाइरुलिना है, ब्लू ग्रीन एल्गी, जिसको खाने के लिए यहाँ आते हैं। और धीरे धीरे फिर ये ब्रीडिंग टाइम में जुलाई टू नवंबर लिटिल रन ऑफ कच्छ में फ्लेमिंगो सिटी पे चले जाते हैं।
And that's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time tomorrow. Till then, good night.